Today we'll be calculating the volume of a 3D figure. We'll be using our formula sheet. And as you can see, there's lots of shapes and figures and lots of formulas on this sheet. So let's try to categorize this to make it easier to remember. One way to categorize is to think of them as either a 2D plane geometry or 3D solid geometry. Plane geometry are polygons and circles. And solid geometry are three-dimensional figures, and their bases are polygons or circles, and then they have heights and faces, so they can hold things. And today we'll be calculating the volume of these figures to see how much they will hold. So let's review some of the plane geometry. The area we've been working with a square, a rectangle, parallelogram, triangle, and trapezoid. And as you can see, they all have a different looking formula, but they're really all kind of the same, very similar to each other. So this area of a square is the side squared. But if you look at it, we're multiplying the two perpendicular lines. In a rectangle, length times width, we're multiplying the two perpendicular lines. Parallelogram, base times height, we're multiplying the two perpendicular lines. Area of a triangle, 1/2 base times height, we're multiplying the two perpendicular lines and then taking half of that. And if you think about it, isn't a triangle half a quadrilateral? And the trapezoid is kind of a combination of the parallelogram and the triangle. The other plane geometry figure we've been working with is a circle, and the area of a circle is pi r squared. When we work with plane geometry, we measure area, square units. How many squares fit in the polygon? And we read it as 8 square units. Volume, we work in cubic units. How many cubes can fit inside the solid figure? We would read this as 27 cubic units. Today we'll be talking about volume. And up to this point in our formulas, we've been using a little b, and that's indicated the length of a side. But today, we're going to introduce the big B, which means the area of the base. So it's going to be the area of the polygon or circle. To help keep these easier to understand and remember, we're going to categorize all these shapes into two categories. We're going to have one called circles, cylinders, and cones, and one called polygons, prisms, and pyramids. So let's start with the circle, cylinder, and cones. The circle, the area of a circle is pi r squared. The volume of the cylinder is pi r squared times the height. So they are the same, except that you multiply the height for the cylinder. So think about that. So aren't we finding pi r squared? Isn't this the area of the base times the height? So we could say the volume is equal to the area of the base, which is a big B, times h, height. Let's look at the volume of a cone. 1/3 pi r squared times the height. Pi r squared is the area of the base. So 1/3 big B little h is the volume of a cone. So even though they're different, they're very, very similar. So let's try problem C. Here we have a cylinder. So we're going to find, so let's think about what we're talking about, the area of the volume equals the area of the base times the height. And the base of a cylinder is pi r squared. So let's just substitute numbers in. Pi, the radius is 3, so 3 squared is 9, times the height of 10. So 9 times 10 is 90, so 90 pi. That's our exact answer, but let's get a decimal equivalent here. So 90 times 3.14 is 282.6. So 282.6 cubic feet. Let's try problem B. Circles, cylinders, and cones. This is a cone. So the formula is the volume is equal to, now remember the cone, smaller than a cylinder, it's 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. So the volume is 1/3. The area of the base of a cone is a circle, so 1/3 pi r squared times the height. 1/3 pi, the radius squared is 9 times 4. 1/3 of 9 is 3 times 4 is 12 pi. That's our exact answer. Our approximate answer is 12 times 3.14, which is 3768. And we have cubic feet. All right, the next category we'll be looking at are polygons, prisms, and pyramids. The polygons we'll be using are square, rectangle, and triangle. These polygons will be the bases of the prisms and the pyramid. So we need to find the area of the rectangle, square, or triangle, whatever the base is, and then multiply it times the height. So the volume of the prisms, either one, is really the area of the base times the height. And the pyramid is 1/3 of that, because the pyramid is 1/3 of a prism. The volume is. So let's work problem A. Is a rectangular prism. Our formula, we could say the formula is the volume is equal to the area of the base times the height, and that's the length times width times the height, which is the formula they gave us. So 20 times 4 times 4. So 16 times 2 is 32, so 320 cubic feet. Okay, let's go to problem D. Problem D is a pyramid with a base that's a square. So to find the volume of this is really, I need the volume, since it is a pyramid, it's going to be 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. 1/3, the area of the base. The area of the base is a square, so it's side squared, times the height of 9. Times the height. All right, so 1/3, the side squared, 6 times 6 is 36, times the height of 9. So 1/3 of 36 is 12 times 9, so 108 cubic feet. All right, let's try E. So we can see this as a prism. And the base, the polygon that's the base, is a triangle. So I'm going to find the area, the volume of this is going to be, the volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. Well, the area of the base is a triangle, so it's going to be 1/2. So the volume is equal to 1/2 base times height, the little b, and then times height again. So that's a different one. So you can see why we use the big base. So that's why we want to find the area of the base, which is base times height, which is 3 times 4 is 12. And 1/2 of 12 is 6. So 6 times 10, so 60 cubic yards. Let's try F. So here we have a pyramid. So the volume of that would be, since it's a pyramid, it's going to be 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So 1/3, and the base is a square. So it's 1/3 side squared times the height. 1/3 times 24 squared times 30. So I know 1/3 of 30 is 10. So 24 squared times 10. It's 5,760. And it's going to be cubic yards.